qualify for as much as 25 grand that could be put towards a home purchase. And Joe Biden is also tanking on junk fees and rising food prices. But so far, everybody, although more Americans own homes than rent, experts say the number of gap between the two categories is shrinking. This is as housing costs continue to climb, pricing out prospective homeowners. And more economically disadvantaged renters may get the chance to own a home in the future if a down payment assistance bill is developed during Joe Biden's campaign for president. The Down Payment and Toward Equity Act is the first-time buyer home grant, promises to administer $100 billion in direct assistance to families first time. It's going to provide qualifying assistance to certain first-time, first-generation homeowners in purchasing their first homes. Up to 25 grand in funding is given at closing rather than offered as a tax relief credit and can be used to assist people who are eligible for home buyers with mortgage down payments. A first-time home buyer is also defined as someone who hasn't really owned a home in the prior 3 years, while first-generation buyers, somebody eligible for the grant program, if their parents or guardians have never bought a house in the United States. Under this plan, to qualify for the 25 grand, homeowners have to have a certain household income less than 120% of the area median income. In the case of a home buyer acquiring an eligible home that is actually in a high-cost area, buyers can qualify if they earn up to 180% of the median income in the area. To remain qualified for the assistance program, the home buyer has to live in the house, purchase for 5 years, or risk paying back a portion of the grant. Home buyers have to actually compete and complete a government-approved homeownership education course, and grant money cannot be used for a second home. Originally, it was introduced in July 2021, but now Joe Biden's taking it up for his 2024 run. And the Biden administration has proposed new guidelines for corporate mergers, took steps to disclose the junk fees changed by landlords, and launched a crackdown on price gouging in the food industry. The announcements were discussed as part of Joe Biden's meeting with the White House Competition Council. A group of officials even established under a 2021 executive order said this is possible. The council has focused on creating more transparency for consumers and finding approaches to efforts that will work and help out the American people. The Department of Justice and FTC are proposing revising the guidelines on how they evaluate the mergers. The goal is to provide more clarity on these programs and to give justice to the American people. Social Security recipients, everybody, could now face an increase in waiting times to receive the monthly benefits. Congress is now expected to decrease the funding for several programs, including Social Security. Retirement eligibility is also possible, too.
Micron are being kept literally within the first year of the decision to come to Central New York. So I could not be prouder to talk about this opportunity to transform lives forever and ever, starting with our children. How unusual is that? When you talk about a big company that manufactures, makes semiconductors, what does it have to do with children? Well, Micron's enlightened enough to know it has to do with everything. And let's talk about that. But first, I want to recognize our leaders.
It's finally, and it could happen, everybody. The top Republicans are eyeing a brand new deal with Democrats on spending. And the good news is that this agreement could lead to more direct relief payments to the people of America. That's only if an agreement is reached, but millions of households could begin to receive monthly checks worth hundreds of dollars. Now, tax writers in the House and the Senate are gearing up for negotiations over some tax reform, as it comes as lawmakers introduce their first proposals for a big stimulus package, folks. And this is expected to garner widespread support from both sides of the aisle. So Senate Democrats have made it clear that they would like to make some form of the crisis-era child tax credit permanent, while the House Republicans are proposing a comprehensive bill that would include an estimated $240 billion in.
We also know across our country, folks face barriers that have been built up over the years by corporate interests and anti-union politicians and regressive court cases. I fought many of those cases when I was Attorney General of California, so we know the obstacles are there. California's in the house.
Yet the latest round of tax cuts comes as the economy is showing signs of stress, raising questions about timing. Even policy analysts told reporters times are good now, but if there's a downturn, what is the response? Will it be cutting spending or education? And if it's raising taxes, who will be impacted by this? Folks, the current proposals for taxes range from small reductions in state income tax rates to getting rid of the individual income tax altogether. Other states are examining more targeted measures, like exempting more retirement income from taxation, and it's a move that would benefit older residents, but potentially take away revenue that could be used for younger families. Some of these proposals are simply ideas floated by lawmakers and governors that may face a long path to becoming law. In some states, the tax plans are further along, such as in North Dakota, where lawmakers are weighing a bill that would eliminate the individual income tax for single filers making $44,000 or less, and for married filers making $75,000 or less. Other states are focusing their tax cuts on specific groups, such as 10 states that last year created or expanded a child tax credit or earned income tax credit. It's geared toward low-income families. Even the Republican Senator Mitt Romney wants to increase the federal child tax credit payment to $3,000 for people between 6 and 17 years old, and $4,200 for children under 6. The proposal will cut other tax credits to pay for the expansion, including those for child health care costs. Both plans would offer parents the ability to receive the credit as a monthly payment, and Senator Marco Rubio's proposal would pay parents $3,600 for children 6 to 17, and $4,500 for children under 6, but it would not offer a monthly payment option. Vermont also took matters into their own hands after Congress failed to extend the expanded tax credits, and the Republican governor signed off on a $1,000 child tax.
Hello. My Lord. This dinner gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Thanks for inviting me. Please have a seat if you have one. If you don't, come on up with me. Adriano, thanks for that introduction. Thank you to Nanette and the 42 members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, a record number. Thanks also to the members of my cabinet who are here tonight, the most diverse cabinet in American history, including Secretary Brassard, Mr. Secretary, Secretary Cardona. We're doing all this while reducing the deficit. I love our friends on the right talk about, mega guys, about reducing the deficit. Give me a break. On my watch, deficits have already fallen over $1 trillion. And I signed legislation to reduce the deficit by another $1 trillion in the next decade. The last guy had a $400 billion deficit over 4 years. We're doing it by making the wealthy and big corporations begin to start to pay their fair share. Anybody out here think the tax system is fair? Raise your hand. Well, we have about 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average rate